everybody, it's Pookie Monster, and today I'm reviewing The Last Command, which is the third and final book in the Thrawn trilogy. Thrawn now not only has the Cantina fleet of over 200 dreadnought warships, but he also has an impressively high number of clone troopers. With Thrawn always a step ahead, the Republic has to come up with a new plan of action. And though she's needed by the New Republic, Leia has to prepare for the birth of her Trilogy twins, while also trying to discover the palace spy and dealing with the ever-looming threat of Cubo, who wants not only her, but her twins, her brother, and the newly rescued angst-filled Mara Jade, while Luke, surrounded by friends and enemies, decides to risk the fate of the Republic on a daring raid of Thrawn's cloning facilities. Okay, so I know you guys are going to be so proud of me. So proud, because I actually made my own summary. I didn't botch it up. I actually wrote it down. I actually made a plan for this video. What? Okay, not like a serious plan. I'm not good at planning, but I actually didn't stumble through this summary, and I did not give you guys the summary on the back of here. This book, so beautiful, but I did not give you the summary on the back because it is so misleading. I read the back after reading the book and I was like, that's not what happened. That it's making you think things are going to happen, but they're not. It's just not how it plays out. So I was a little confused by the back after reading this, but you know, whatever they want to do, I guess they can do. It's their book. Okay guys, this book was really good. So I'm going to be giving 2 reviews in this video. One is going to be spoiler free for the people who have not read it. Maybe, you know, you've read the first 2 books, but you're still considering whether you should read this one because you're on the fence. I was actually on the fence for a while, so it's okay if you're doing that. I understand. And the other one is going to be some very opinionated opinions of mine, and aka it's not spoiler free. So let's go ahead and get into the spoiler free review. Okay, so if you hear licking sounds, please forgive me, it's just my cat. So anyways, what I liked about this book is that there was no cussing, there was no inappropriate scenes. I love that about Timothy Zahn. He doesn't feel the need, like some authors I've read, to just put cussing in there to maybe like make the scene more dramatic. See my quotation marks? Authors out there, putting like cussing in your scenes does not make it more dramatic or like, you know, powerful or anything, or whatever you guys think. It does not do that. It is unnecessary. He weaves so much emotion in this book without cussing once. And as far as inappropriate scenes go, there are none in here unless you're one of those people who are really sensitive to breastfeeding. Leia has her twins. Of course that happens. It's natural. If that bothers you, you can skip the 1 sentence or 2 in which it's talked about. Okay, maybe 3 or 4 sentences where it's talked about, but come on, she just had babies. And speaking of Leia, I love her character throughout this whole series. I love her character so much more in the books than I do in the movies. I'm not really fond of Leia in the movies. There's a few scenes here and there where I'm like, yes, you're awesome, but for the most part she just seems like really pushy and over commanding in some ways. I don't know, she's just not my favorite character, but in these books, she's amazing. She still take control, she still take charge, she's still opinionated, but she does it in a less abrasive way. And you see more of her thoughts, obviously, in the book, and you see more of her worries and her thought process, and I love it so much, especially because she's just so smart. I mean, she's not like the smart guru person strategizing over here and over there, but she's intellectually brilliant. She's socially brilliant. Speaking of one of the 3 girl characters in this book, besides for like 2 that you see like twice, 2 that you see twice, but speaking of one of them, the other one, Mara Jade, has such an amazing arc. Throughout this series, we see her, and for the first 2 books, she's pretty much the same, except she learns a little bit more, and we learn a little bit more about her. In the 3rd book, everything just kind of like comes together, and it's not this dramatic, oh, I'm a better person now, I'm gonna fly away into the sunset and just be goodwill to all men. No, it's a lot more deep than that. It's a lot more subtle, and it's more of just kind of like a thinking change instead of like an action change. Mara Jade's arc is just so well-rounded. It's not overdone. It's not like hit the fast forward button, I want you to be this way. It's really kind of spectacularly subtle, and if you think about it, this series is kind of all about her. I mean, yes, we have our stereotypical main three, Han, Luke, and Leia, but this series introduced Mara Jade. This series has her all throughout it, and this series is where we see her become her true self. And so I kind of feel like the series is about her, but not only about her, but about Thrawn. Like, if I had to say who this series is mainly about, it's about her and Thrawn. I mean, yeah, Kuboth is a bad guy, but he's not like the main focus out of this book. He's not like changing the galaxy drastically, you know what I mean? These two characters are, or are going to. Speaking of Kuboth, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I've never heard anybody say it, and throughout the whole book, I pronounced his name in my mind as Cubone, which is a Pokemon. I don't even use that Pokemon. I don't know why I pronounced it like that. It's clearly a C, but I, for some reason, thought of it as a Q. And I don't know how to pronounce it. I probably should have looked it up before doing this video, but did I? No, I didn't. Would that have been the smart thing to do? Yes, it would have, but I'm not known for doing the smart thing. So, I'm gonna call him Master Cubone for the rest of this. So if you're confused when I say a Pokemon name, it's actually the Jedi guy. Not him, that's Thrawn. Just, I'll put his name here. That's totally how you spell Cubone. He was really annoying. I'm just gonna say that. He was really frustrating. Not because Timothy Zahn is a bad writer and the character's just frustrating. No, he was meant to be annoyingly bad. It's just, it's not that he was badly written. It's not that he was like a bad villain. He was a great villain because he had, sorry, I'm supposed to be spoiler free, but he's just annoying in that, like, one way you can kind of feel bad for him, and then another way he's just like, I'm going to take over everything, you are all my slaves, I am all powerful. Yeah, and that's just kind of annoying, but also kind of intriguing seeing the way people react to him. And speaking of villains, Thrawn is amazing. He's just amazing. This is the first book I've read anything about him. I've never seen him in a TV show. I don't even know what TV show he shows up in. I mean, I watched a lot of the Clone Wars TV show, but I haven't really watched anything else. Well, okay, no, I know he shows up in that one series, but I haven't seen him. This is like my introduction to Thrawn, and he's just amazing. I love him. He's cool. Though I've like seen multiple pictures of him, and some he's bluer than others. How blue is he? How blue is he? She's still licking herself. I feel like I shouldn't be videotaping this. This looks like her bath. I feel like I need to censor this. Okay, so what I liked is that while a lot of these characters, they didn't act the same as they do in the main movies, talking about Han, Luke, and Leia, they acted like they had a lot of character growth. And especially Luke, in the very last movie, the original trilogy, he has a lot of character growth. You can just like see it about him. You imagine him being much more mature. I mean, he's not gonna, like, in the beginning of A New Hope, he's not gonna be like going vroom, vroom with his little toys anymore, okay? He's a lot more mature, and he's got a new understanding of the world, and he's got a new mindset. Wait, stop flicking your tail on me. Stop flicking your tail. Anyways, he is believable. And Leia, to a degree, is believable. She's not overdone like she is in the movies. She's too much, you know? And I feel like she's had a lot of character growth. And Han, he's kind of cute in this book. He's not cute in the movies, but in this book he's just like really protective of Leia, and he's overly concerned about things. And I think the scene with him when Leia is giving birth is just adorable. That just like makes me like his character. I wasn't a big fan of his character in the movies. I love the movies, but Han and Leia were not my favorite of characters, okay? But these books make me like their characters so much more, and I can go back and watch the movies and feel more appreciative about their characters because I know they're gonna be better the older they get. One thing I want to mention is that Zahn did so much better in this book with the space battles than he did in the first 2 books of the series. In the first 2 books, he focused a little too much on the ins and outs of the battle, the strategy. These people went here, and then these moved over here, and then these shot pew pew pew, and then these shot pew pew pew, and then these moved up. Yeah, okay, he dived into a little bit too much strategy, and that's not his strong suit. But in this book, he dived more into his strong suit, which is the characters' feelings, their expressions, and their thoughts about what's going on during the battle. It just made this book so much better than the other ones. Even though this had less space battles, when he did do a space battle, it was better written, in my opinion, than the first 2 books. Okay, now we're going to talk about some things I didn't like about this series. The ending felt rushed. I wanted more. I felt like there were a lot of people who we didn't know how exactly they ended up. Is this person dead, or are they alive? Is this person, like, are they going back here, or are they, like, staying over there? And what happened to this person that just I didn't hear about anymore? So there's a couple people here and there who I wanted to keep track of, and Timothy Zahn did not tell me what happened to them because they might not have been main characters, but I cared about them. You cannot give me side characters. Make me care about them and then not tell me what happened to them. But in whatever his defense can be, they might be shown someplace else, like in another book that I just haven't read yet. So, I mean, that's a possibility, but it's also not a possibility, and I really want to know what happened. Okay, so another thing I didn't like in this book is that in the previous book, the Cantina Fleet, however you pronounce it, the Cantina Fleet is mentioned a lot. I mean, that's like the whole storyline there. The Cantina Fleet needs to be found, and it needs to be on the Republic side. But in this book, it's not mentioned that much. It's not like that big of a deal. It's okay, it's more of like, in everyone's mind, it is such a big threat. And Thrawn does use it a little bit, but it's not like as overwhelming as it seemed in the previous book. In the previous book, they made it sound like this is life or death. If we do not get this Cantina Fleet, we're pretty much doomed. But in this book, it's more like, that was a terrible blow, but we have a good chance of winning still if we do this, 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 and this. But anyways, I was kind of disappointed how such a big threat in the previous book just fell flat in this book. Okay, not completely flat, like a pancake flat, but more like flat as like when you crumble up a piece of paper and it's all like wrinkly. So like you got a little bit of it, but not as much as you were expecting. I know that made no sense, but you're just gonna have to bear with me. Yeah, but besides for that, and a few chapters kind of dragged on a little bit, I felt some characters were given too much attention for the little good they did in the book, and I felt like some people's perspective could have been shortened a little bit, trying not to spoil anything, but they definitely could have been shortened. But if you can get past that, this book is really good. I personally think it is the best in all 3 of the books, and I know a lot of people feel that way about like the grand finale, but I do think this is the best out of the series. Okay, now I am going to give my spoiler review, my very opinionated opinions. So if you have not read this book, I suggest you kind of like meander on over to another video, maybe go read it, maybe go like take a nice shower, relax, eat a slice of cake. I don't like cake, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying bye. Bye. Unless you like to spoil books for yourself, which I know people who do that. So, I mean, to each their own. But if you don't want to spoil the book for yourself, bye-bye. 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 See you later. Bye. 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 Are they gone? Can I stop smiling? My cheeks. Bye. Okay, you're gone. For those of you who cringed your way through that, I have so much to say. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I guess first we'll start off with things that I didn't like, because I like talking about that more. Okay, there was this character in the book who, I'm gonna let you guess and then I'll tell you, who I thought was going to be a bad guy. I thought they were going to turn, I thought they were gonna actually be a spy. I thought almost the whole series, I was like, this person in the end is gonna show their true colors and they're gonna be working for Thrawn. I knew it. But then it turns out I was wrong. And now I have reader character guilt, and I feel so bad for accusing this person because they were just so pure throughout the whole book. And if you haven't guessed the character, that was Winter. Leia's best friends, knew her since she was a child, and is now Leia's personal assistant, helped take care of the twins and everything, and I just feel so bad. I accused her. But think about it. She would have been the perfect spy because she remembers everything. And you gotta think about it, that's such a curse. Like, if you remember everything bad that happens to your life, you will remember in the vividest of details. That doesn't sound bad. I don't know what does. I mean, obviously it has benefits. She's used those for the greater good of mankind, but I just feel so bad for accusing her because she is so precious and pure and kind and devoted. I just kind of wanted her to be bad because it would have been like really cool. And now she's not bad, and now I have to love her more. Okay, so another bad thing I want to talk about is what in the world happened to the clones? There's so many clones out there now, piloting, crewing, like at least half of dozens and dozens and dozens of ships. What's going on here? Where are they all going? It doesn't even say like, okay, it hints at the end, not hints, but they talk about in the end that like, this battle isn't truly over. There's loose ends across the galaxy we need to tie together, you know what I mean. So they're talking about how they have a lot of work to do now. But I want to know what happens to the clones. Like, I don't know if this is going to be part of another book, because I'm not reading the immediate book that comes after this one next. I'm going to start reading the X-Wing series. Oh, that's what I forgot to do. Oh, darn it. I forgot to order the first book. Now I won't be able to read it till next month. Wait, what book did I order then? Okay. Obviously when I'm done recording this, I have things I have to go check out. Okay, now I know I talked about the Cantina Fleet in my spoiler-free review, but the Cantina Fleet needs to be mentioned again because at the end of the book, they don't mention it again. Just filling in here. So, like I said before, the Cantina Fleet in the previous book was made out to be such a big thing, and then in this book it fell flat, and then in the end, we don't even know where it goes. No one's talking about it. No one's like, okay, now that Thorne's gone, we need to rush, now that everyone's just organized, trying to get those Cantina Fleets. Okay, I'm not saying I would do good in any sort of military position, like ever, like at all, but the moment everything was wrapped up in this book, I was like, they better move their butts to try to get everything they can. Because in this disorganized state, they have the best chance of grabbing like anything that's in the Empire's control. There's no top authority. Yes, you have some really smart generals here and there who are going to heavily defend their places and try to keep everything they have. But wouldn't it be the smartest thing to do while the Empire is disorganized, without leadership, without control, and kind of in utter chaos, to grab up as much of it as you can so it doesn't turn into a bigger problem later? It just, unless they do this and it's just not mentioned until a later book, it just seems like the smartest course of action, and I'm sad that like I didn't see that, because I don't know if that leapt into everyone else's mind, but it definitely leapt into mine, so it's just kind of like go, get it done, or there's gonna be problems later. Consequences of inaction, laziness, not good. I beat thirst. And okay, so speaking of strategies, what happened with Thrawn and Cubone? Because, okay, Thrawn is an amazingly awesome intellectual person. He's like the baddie Sherlock Holmes. That sounded corny, but you know what I mean. Man, I'm losing so much hair. Stop tickling me. You think he would have had like plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G for if Cubone went bad. You don't think he would have had people inspecting the tanks to make sure there's not anything on them? I mean, okay, I know he thought Cubone was just kind of like crazy and didn't have like too much intellectual intelligence going on. Not every screw was really tight and you might have lost a few marbles along the way, but seriously, I'm kind of surprised he did not have more backup plans for if Cubone like completely went AWOL. It just seems uncharacteristic of him, seeing as he had backup plans for like so many other things in this book, and he was all like, yes, I know they're going to do this, so I'm going to do this. And I know that they know that I know that they're gonna do this, so I'm gonna do this. And since I know that they know that we're gonna do this, so I'm gonna do this instead. Hey! I expected a little bit more from Thrawn. I mean, we know he wasn't like all-knowing. He didn't win every battle. But he won a majority of them, and a guy who wins the majority of his battles usually has backup plans. And he didn't for this one, which was super disappointing. Okay, so some things that I liked was, I don't remember, Lara? Was it Lara? I can't remember their ship name. Someone had told me their ship name, but I can't remember. Mara and Luke. Okay, so it wasn't overly done. It was such... Okay, you guys know me, I'm not into romance books, but I do like romance in the book. It shouldn't be all about romance, but it should be definitely in the book. And so, Timothy Zahn, there is no Mara, Luke, like, moments or anything, except when you know they're, like, actually getting along, and Luke's like, you're a good person, and Mara's like, you might be too, but that's not the point, and I'm gonna kill you. So, but in the end, you could tell it was definitely being set up. It's just being set up to where they're gonna be spending a lot more time together, and they're actually getting along, and Mara's thinking, wow, this guy is really cool, and wow, why didn't I think of that, you know? I don't know, I just think it was cute. It was very subtle, but you knew what was going to happen in the future. And unfortunately, I knew before I even went into this series because I was spoiled. Hate spoilers. But I was spoiled, and so, you know, it happens. It happens. It shouldn't happen. Don't let it happen. Never spoil me. But, yeah. Oh, and can I just say that I couldn't say this in the spoiler-free version, but what's his name? Oh, it starts with a K. He's a smuggler dude. I didn't want to get involved in anything. Karade, one of those two. I loved what he was trying to do, and I loved the fact that we saw a lot of him because I actually kind of liked his character. It was pretty cool. But I didn't like the fact that it all came to nothing. But I can also appreciate the fact that it also came to nothing. Okay, he's trying really hard to get these smugglers together to try to do something in Republic because he realizes that if Thrawn is not stopped, that his business is going to end up going patit in the future. So he's being a smart businessman, and he's also thinking, clones, creepy, not good, we're going to get rid of those. And so he's trying to actually help by bringing these smugglers together, and it just ends up backfiring in multiple ways, and I can appreciate that because not every plan of the good guys should succeed. You know, he's being a good guy, and he's trying to pull things together, and he's trying to be like, I want to help, but I don't want to help directly with them because that's like choosing sides, and I won't do that. So on one hand, I can appreciate the fact that what he did failed. It shows that, you know, he was willing to do something. He took a great risk doing this. I mean, he risked not only his life, but his crew's life and other people's crew's life. But I just don't like it when things fail. There was like only a minority little bit of success into it in the fact that people ended up going through with his plan and then ended up helping the Republic get out of a jam. So I guess it was success and failure at the same time. But I don't know, I felt like I mentioned this covertly in the spoiler-free one. We got too much of his perspective. I liked his perspective, I enjoyed it, but I feel like it was too much. If you would have taken like a fourth of his perspective and chucked it out of the book, I think it would have been perfect. Another thing is that like while Luke's character was more mature and he was more, you could see his growth definitely from the original trilogy, and it makes sense for this book. I felt like he was too mature. Like he didn't have any fun moments. He didn't have any moments where he thought about doing something that maybe wasn't the right thing. He didn't have any moments where he was just like joking around. He was a good character, but at some times I felt like he was just a little bit flat. Like he's a good guy, he's thinking good things, boom, 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 I'm having trouble with this. So he's not like OP, he's not being Mary Sue, but he's also not being fun. And Luke's supposed to be a little bit fun, and maybe a little bit whiny. It's just part of his character. He didn't complain enough. Am I seriously complaining that a character did not complain enough? Oh my goodness. Wow, that's weird. Okay, moving on. Now, this character, I've read other people's reviews, and I've heard people talking about the series in general, but I never hear anyone mention Captain Paleon. Pelleon? I don't know how you say his name. Wait. Pellaeon. I'm just gonna say Pelleon, whatever that captain guy's name is. I loved his character. I really liked him. I enjoyed his character. At first, he was really skeptical of Thrawn. He wanted to do his own way. He thought he knew better, but he didn't undermine Thrawn in any way. He was always respectful. He gave his opinion, but he did so respectfully. And he also learned to trust Thrawn. Over time, he was like, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. And I don't understand what's going on, but I know that he knows what he's doing. Unlike, I know this has nothing to do with the series, unlike Hastings with Perot, Hastings, throughout all the books, it's just like, psh, he's getting old. He has no idea what he's doing anymore. He's past his prime. This is probably going to be the case he doesn't solve. Hastings. Unlike Hastings, Pelleon is supportive. He learns, okay, from his past misunderstandings, unlike Hastings. And he's just a supportive guy. I mean, can you really have a better captain? I just really enjoyed his character, and he's not being talked enough about, and that makes me sad because as a side character, he's really, really, really good. I know I'm repetitive. I know I'm saying this over and over again. That's what being repetitive means. But he's just such a good character. No one's talking about him. No one cares about him. He's sad and lonely, and maybe he's dead. Maybe he's not. We don't know, and that's what bugs me. Sorry, that was my soapbox for this book. And last but not least, before I end this conversation, I need to talk about Thrawn's death, which is like the biggest thing that happened in this book. Well, besides really his twins being born, and it was just a major event. He just died. And then his last line was, but it was so artistically done. That was his last line, right? Where'd the book go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, directly quoted, it says, Thrawn caught his eye, and to Pelleon's astonishment, the great animal smiled. But, he whispered, it was so artistically done. So I was right, I did remember. I was always wondering why the bodyguard was still with him. I always assumed it was because like his people hadn't gotten word to him about what was done and that he should be angry. And so, you know, I thought maybe he just didn't know, but now he did know for like probably the whole time since they knew like right after. So yeah, he was just like biding his time for the right moment. Smart dude. Norwegian people, I totally love them. Throughout this whole series, I've just loved that people so much. I think they are one of my favorite parts of this series. It's just them. As a people, I think they're pretty cool. I want to know what one looks like because I have an idea about what it looks like in my head, and it's kind of creepy but kind of like endearing now that I know about them. So I hear a lot of people complaining about Thrawn's death. Oh, it was too sudden, it was too quick. But you know what? Sometimes death is like that. Sorry, my siblings are playing. I can't really help that. I live in a household full of children, so if you hear happy laughter in the background, you're going to have to muscle your way through it. But no, his death was very sudden, and it makes sense because the Norwegian, I don't even know if I'm saying their name right either, the species that Leia befriended that, you know, was once a slave to the Empire, they are very good marksmen with knives. We've seen that multiple times in this book, you know, where they're stabbing those really crazy angry birds at just the right spots. And one way I can understand, because you want more of a dramatic death for this guy who's been such a big piece of the story. I mean, he's like the it guy. He is the main problem that these people are trying to face, and then he just dies like that. But he died in a cool way that totally makes sense. It's not like he just died in some sudden explosion or something. He died in a very plot-driven way, and I liked that personally. So, and it was kind of revenge from the Norwegian people, so it kind of like served multiple purposes there for the story itself. And I appreciated it, and I personally don't have any problem with his death whatsoever. I actually think it was pretty cool. So in conclusion, I really like this series. I wasn't particularly fond of the second book. I would say in order of likeness, this one was my favorite, the first one was my second favorite, and the second one was my third favorite, and I'm sure that made lots of sense, and if you need to rewind that to make it make sense, go ahead. Anyways, that was my thoughts on this series. I really enjoyed this series, and I really enjoyed this book specifically, and I'm going to be reviewing more Star Wars books in the future. And until that time, I want to tell you guys to stay safe, eat donuts, and please read some good books. Bye!